Well, the adventurers stayed on in Monterey after Califest for a couple of weeks to vacation and enjoy life a little after Califest from last year. James O had wanted one last ride on his custom Harley. His doctor said it wasn't safe for him to ride. He was too old. His wife agreed. But she had his bike crated and shipped out to Monterey so James could have one last ride. It was warm and lovely hanging out in Monterey till the bike arrived. Some of the adventurers took off for home. McNair and Pick headed back for work. Buggy took off on his new mini Harley. It's expensive in Monterey. Uncle John and Mose spent the time busking at the beach playing to the seagulls. They seemed to like the music. We also spent our time collecting outhouses. Rick Sundberg switched out all the rented biffs with antique outhouses for vendors' booths like we had last year. Near the outhouse stage, Mose fixed up his booth with a moon hole on the door. When James O's bikes finally arrived, the crate got made into a new privy in a couple of days. Time came, we rolled off away from Monterey in springtime in the mountains. Uncle John wanted to ride behind James O on his custom Harley for the view and the fresh air. The camper was stinky by this time. Dave took the wheel of the camper and Mose drove the vintage Harley Warhorse. We pulled out of Monterey in our gypsy caravan, James O and Unc at the lead, Mose behind with his big Buick camper in the tail. Danny, Jim, the Hot, Daniel, and AGP tucked in the camper. We rolled out of California northeast toward the high Rockies in Colorado. Took the less traveled roads to avoid the police and take our time. To see the sights. As we rolled higher and higher up into the mountains, the road wound into fantastic landscapes with rushing spring streams, amazing waterfalls, and cuts through the mountain terrain. Our spirits rose with the sights of America rising before us. We came into a cut of an epic proportion, towering cliffs on either side of the road and a rushing stream cascading down the mountain beside us. The Harleys sprinted ahead of the camper to scout the trail above. All of a sudden, a rumble that shook the earth under us. An avalanche of trees, boulders, and mud poured down the cut behind the bikers. The camper disappeared into the cloud of debris. When the rubble and rumble subsided, the bikers could see their friends all safe standing on a big rock in front of the camper, waving up from below. Rubble, mud, and a new stream had cut the exhibition in two. Everyone was safe. The three bikers must push on alone, cut away from their supplies and friends. Dave was a good driver. He'd get the camper back to Minnesota and our homecoming at Hanson Valley. So James O., Uncle John, and Mose set off down a new path into the great unknown.